Hello, my unraveled friends. Is everyone in their PJs? Is anyone up with me this late on a Friday night? If you are, I hope you have on your favorite pair. I have on my favorite pair. They're so soft and cozy. And if you're not up late and you're up early, PJs also still work. So I hope you have some. And your tea or your coffee or your wine or your breakfast or your late night snacks, whatever time you're watching. I hope you have all the things that make you feel happy and comfortable and safe and loved. So you're ready to get mad? You're ready to throw all that out the window and just get completely being pissed off. Have you guys watched the I think it's like one of the newest, at least. I don't know exactly when it came out, but the Netflix documentary, Unknown Number, the High School Catfish. This is definitely not something I usually talk about. I am not a documentary reviewer. I watch a lot of documentaries because that's where I get a lot of my information about the cases that I'm covering. You get a lot of insight and a lot of, no, I wasn't watching that one for that reason. Had no idea I'd need to talk about it so badly, but I do. So you have homework. If you have not watched it, pause the video. Like right now, just pause, go watch it. I'm going to save your seat. I'm going to wait for you right here and then come back to me. Let's talk about it. If you have watched it, just, hang out with me until everybody else gets back. Okay. So I need the whole class to be caught up. All right. Go ahead. I'll wait for you here. You guys, everyone's caught up. Everyone's good. This story infuriates me. It takes place in like one of those like tiny, everybody knows everybody towns. It's called Beale City, Michigan. They have one school that goes from like pre-K to 12th grade. It's all in one school. So that tells you how small this town is, right? And it's like this kind of place that when I'm watching this documentary just kind of feels like bubble wrapped against the world's craziness. You think you're safe. You think, I mean, I wouldn't want to live in a town that small. I'm definitely a city girl, but I guess I see the appeal for a lot of people. So the documentary is about these two high school students, Lauren and Owen. They're this young couple. They've known and just, adored each other since they were like 12 years old. Okay. Literally, they did everything together, sports and outings. Their parents were like super close, really good friends. I swear to God, though, this story just gets hijacked in like the most twisted way possible. It kicks off with this text message that was sent. So I get a little confused because I can't really tell throughout some of the story if like some of the messages were just to Lauren or just to Owen, or if it was like this combined, like this group chat. Anyway, first text message, fall, like Halloween time, October of 2021. And the text message says, "Hi, Lauren. Owen is breaking up with you," and like claims that he's breaking up with Lauren for the sender of this message, right? Poor baby. Can you even imagine? I mean, she's like young. She's 14, maybe. Anyway, these messages get more personal, more, they start using her nickname, which is Lo, which she stated in the documentary is like what only like close family, friends, people who know her call her Lo. And so right away, that these text messages aren't coming from just some random troll. It's someone in her inner circle. And you should be caught up right now. Okay, if you're not, spoiler alert, I told you to go catch up. The craziest part of this whole thing, as we come to find out, is girlies. The call is coming from inside the house. Okay, yeah, let's unravel. So after that first weird text, things go quiet for like a year, right? There was no more after that. It disturbed sorry, I had to fix my camera. It disturbed Lauren and it disturbed Owen, but you know, that was it, right? It's over, right? No, wrong. When the harassment begins again, it is an absolute avalanche of cruelty, right? Owen starts getting like 30 to 50 messages a day some days, okay? And the things that are said to these children are not just bullying, psychological warfare, insanity on their phones. It starts with like taunts, like trying to rip the young couple apart. One of the texts said, quote, preparing for the end of the golden relationship. But then it just starts diving in like headfirst into this disgusting, vile territory. The messages get grossly sexual with language so foul that I think it was the superintendent of the school system, because they were investigating at this point because things had gotten so bad, right? You guys watched, right? Because I shouldn't, I don't want to, you watched. The superintendent, while they're investigating this thing, right, is like, these messages were enough to make a 53-year-old man blush while reading them. Like, it's so disgusting, vulgar, all in regards to Owen too. All of the texts were in regards to Owen and talking about the things that the sender would say that like Owen was doing to her or wanted to do to her, right? 14-year-old boy at the rock bottom of this year and a half or something of these incredibly horrifying barrage of daily messages to Lauren and her boyfriend Owen. Rock bottom. The most monstrous part of all of this is that when Lauren and Owen finally broke up because these text messages took such a toll on their relationship. I mean, when you're that young, you're in high school. I mean, you don't know how to cope with these kinds of things. Imagine that they broke up. And then the text messages took this turn, right? Into like, so I can't say that word on YouTube, into like self-unaliving baiting. Can you believe this? Like, so the anonymous number is telling Lauren to unalive yourself now, B word. And that Owen's life would be so much better if you were no longer on this earthly plane. And these messages just kept coming and coming and coming and coming and coming and coming and coming constantly, daily, multiple times a day. How is a teenage girl supposed to handle this? Lauren's self-worth was just on a daily basis being obliterated. She said she felt worthless. Her phone, the thing that she is supposed to feel, especially in a small town like this, the thing that she is supposed to feel like connects her to her friends and the big world outside of her space, is becoming this instrument of just torture for her. And the both of them felt like they couldn't trust anyone. So again, like I said, they broke up. It was heartbreaking. They I mean, I know it's like young love. We say like they loved each other, but like, and during the document and throughout the documentary, or at some point in the documentary, when we go back to the breakup, like they said that they broke up because at the beginning, with all of the vile and disgusting messages and all of this torment being thrown towards Lauren specifically, that they thought that's what the unknown number wanted. And they were like, look, we have to make this stop. Neither one of us can take this anymore. And the only way we can make it stop is to break up. This is what they want, and they win, basically. But again, like I said, then harassment started just on an entirely different vitriolic level. So the families are desperate. They're desperate. Their children are being tormented, bullied, harassed. It's taking a toll on their mental health. Owen mentioned to the number itself, he texted back and said, I really hope you know that these texts are making me feel like unaliving myself. They call the sheriff, they go to the school, and it's a witch hunt at that point. The whole town just starts pointing fingers. The texts were so personal that everyone was convinced it was another student, and they suspect even Lauren herself for doing this for attention. Can you imagine being absolutely terrorized and then having people whisper behind your back that you're doing it to yourself for attention? It's disgusting. And when that theory finally fizzles out, I guess, at some point, then the paranoia just spreads even further. Other kids, innocent classmates, one of Owen's young cousins, this other young girl who was really good friends with Owen, all of these people become accused. They get investigated. Their reputations become shredded for absolutely no reason. And the person behind this was not just content with hurting Lauren and Owen. They apparently wanted to watch the whole fucking town burn down while they were at it. And they were smart about it too. Once police became involved, I mean, it became obvious that they were using like VPNs and all this like tech stuff to hide their tracks and get this, to even spoof like other kids like locations to make it look like texts were coming from where these other kids were when they were on vacation with their families. Next level manipulation here. Next level manipulation. And it was so sophisticated that the local cops were stumped and had to call in the FBI. All the while, the real monster was playing the part of a concerned parent watching all of the chaos that they had created. So FBI gets involved. They have way more powerful tools. They dig into the data, and through all of the smoke and mirrors, one thing becomes very clear. They were able to track down phone numbers located or phone numbers tied to the IP address that was being used on these like number spoofing things. One phone number kept coming up, coming up, coming up. Who was it? Well, it was Kendra Licari, Lauren's mother. You heard, you got Lauren's mother. One more time. Lauren's mother. Ooh, what? The sheriff himself couldn't believe it. Kendra was in the documentary from the start, telling the story from the perspective of a concerned parent trying to get to the bottom of what was happening to her daughter, talking about how tormented and terrified Lauren was, about how her mental health was deteriorating right in front of her eyes, about how psychologically damaging all of this bullying. The texts were attacking Lauren's self-worth in every single way, not just talking about Owen in these disgusting, despicable ways. You guys watched. You better have watched. You know the messages. I can't even say them on YouTube. I won't have a channel anymore. Disgusting. So not just that, but then attacking Lauren's just her outward appearance, calling her an anorexic, flat ass bitch. No one wants to see you. You're the ugliest person I've ever seen in my life. You're this vitriol. Disgusting. And then the other stuff, telling her to unalive herself. And if you don't do it, we will. That's what the text said. Now it's we. Now it's we all of a sudden. Like it's this, this circle of conspirators trying to, come on. Lauren's mom, Kendra. I couldn't. I mean, in the beginning of this documentary, Kendra was playing the role of a lifetime, and I bought right into it. I was watching, I was like, who's doing this to this girl? We have to get to the bottom of this. I was invested. The moment of truth in the documentary was also just, it was just gut-wrenching, right? It was all caught on police body cam. They show up to the house. This was in December of 2022, and they confront Kendra with the evidence, and she confesses. And Lauren is in the house. They call her in, and and a lot of people were talking about Lauren's reaction to this information and saying like, "Oh, look at her. She knew the whole shit." Bro, this was a 14-year-old girl, I think at the time. Like, she had no. I am completely certain that in the moments that's shown on the body cam, like Lauren was just kind of completely like, what? Like, cause even the detective never really came out, or the sheriff. I don't know if the sheriff never like came out and said, your mom has been doing this to you, right? I guess he says that but the way he said it was still kind of sugar coated, right? And then you have this sicko fucking woman standing up during this reveal of who's been bullying her daughter and and waging this psychological warfare on her daughter. It's you, and you're standing up and you're hugging, and you're kissing her forehead. Like, bro, I was searching my immediate vicinity for something soft enough to just launch at my television. And like, at that point, I was so mad. I couldn't believe it. And like, I don't know. I mean, just the audacity. Like, this woman is just audacious, like I've never seen. Can you even process that? Could you even process that? I can't. I can't. Every single moment of comfort that Kendra tried to offer her daughter in that moment was a complete fucking fabrication. It was a lie. Get out of here. I mean, this was a betrayal like none I've ever seen in my entire life. And the question that is just hanging over absolutely everything, even after I finish watching this whole freaking thing. Why? Why? What kind of person does this to their own daughter? What kind of person does this to anyone ever? But really, mother, daughter. Kendra's excuse, of course, was like insulting as hell, in my opinion. She tries to blame it on her unprocessed trauma from when she was a teenager, saying like she was just trying to protect Lauren. Protect her? How does telling your child to unalive herself, protect her from anything? How does I can't wrap my brain around it. I thought I was over it and ready to talk, ready to just talk calmly about what I observed. I'm angry all over again. No sense. It makes absolutely no sense. No sense. And someone help me here. Help me. Talk to me. So despite the bullshit that Kendra tries to spew after the grand reveal, because she continues her part in this documentary. And they give her a comfy little chair and they start asking her, like, why did you do it? The theories that actually track for me, despite the crap that she tries to lay on us, way darker. The documentary director and I think even the prosecutor in this case tried to link this to some like twisted need for control. And then I think a theory that they discussed was even like Munchausen's by proxy, but in some weird cyber form. Like, okay, but Kendra just needed to do this so that her daughter would need her. Wrong. No. She basically, what this theorist is saying is that she had a need to create this crisis so that she could be the hero for her daughter when her daughter would need her to comfort her through this whole ordeal. That's not my theory. Not at all. Oh, and then we'll get to my theory. Kendra had the nerve throughout all of this. Do you guys remember when she tried to relate this incident to like, well, we've all broken the law. We've all broken the law. Like, I'm sure some of us have had drinks and then gotten behind the wheel of a car. Girl, are you actually kidding me? To me, there's just this whole undertone of absolute, on top of the outrage, because that's the overtone here, the very obvious one. Then there's just this creepiness. Not a lot of people, well, I think now, maybe after seeing this, a lot more people are talking about this as well. But it wasn't really talked about in the documentary. And even apparently in her court case, like this was not even like a charge or an issue. Can we talk about this woman's obsession with Owen, a 14-year-old boy, her daughter's young boyfriend? He and his mom even go backwards and talk about how she would like just show up to his, like all of his games. He was an athlete, like football and all this stuff. Like she would show up to his games even after her daughter, Lauren, and he broke up. And like how when he would come to their house, like she'd cut up his steak for him and like weird stuff. So are you obsessed with this young child? And then it's so disturbing because the text messages that she would send that were so sexually vulgar in regards to, and this is stuff that probably 14-year-olds don't even completely fully know or understand the level of dirty. I mean, this stuff was nasty. And Kendra is just sitting at home because, oh, by the way, she lied about having a job for like 6 months. She wasn't even employed. She was literally spending 8 to 9 hours a day just doing this. This was like her full-time job at this point. And the level of just filth that she was sending Lauren, regarding Owen, the things she was saying about him, it's predatory, in my opinion. It's disgusting and it's predatory. And the fact that this wasn't even a charge, this boy is a minor. He's 14 years old. We're not talking about that in a court of law. The whole thing is just this disgusting cocktail of like, yes, control some, maybe, but I think jealousy and like this really deep predatory pathology. But I'm no psychologist. I'm no professional. So what happens to everyone? Kendra gets sentenced to 19 months to 5 years in prison. And guess what? She was already released. She was released in August of 2024. Hence, her debut appearance on Netflix for all of us to have to suffer through. The real sentence is the one that her family is serving. Lauren's journey is absolutely heartbreaking. She talks about how she misses her mom. And now that she's becoming a young adult, she is a little bit more cautious, it seems. She says that her mom, now that she's out, she does think that her mom needs to get some serious help before she can think about letting her back into her life. And then, the relationship between Lauren and Owen, right? That first love, that young love, it didn't even come close to surviving any of this trauma. They don't even speak. They don't even talk to each other anymore. The family is just completely shattered on both sides. The community is ripped apart with all the accusations and finger pointing that was going on. The friendships, right? Owen's mom and Lauren's mom, they're working side by side trying to find this monster. And all along you find out that the monster is the person that you were working side by side with. I don't know. All the betrayals in this are just staggering. It's mind-blowing to me. How do you even heal from that? How does anyone heal from this? At the end of the day, we need to talk about cyberbullying. We need to talk about the damage that it does, that it causes, the anxiety, the depression, the isolation. All of that is true. But this story is so much bigger than that, in my opinion. This is about, again, the most fundamental trust that a human being can have is their trust in their parents. And that was completely and utterly violated here in the grossest and just most depraved ways. Technology was just the weapon that Kendra chose to commit one of the oldest forms of abuse. The whole devastating tragedy is summed up in the very last thing that Lauren says in this documentary. After everything that this monster did to her, she says, quote, "I love her more than anything." And that just breaks your heart, doesn't it? That unbreakable bond between a mother and daughter has been twisted into something so, so ugly. And how does anyone begin to come back from a betrayal like that? So after hearing all of this, what do? We can't just be outraged. We can be outraged. Absolutely. I hope you are. But we can't just be outraged. We have to do something. This is just another one of those wake-up call stories for all of us. So I can't talk about this documentary without a call to action and a call to advocacy. If you are a young person and you're going through this or anything like this, whether it's from a stranger, a classmate, or in the most unthinkable cases like this, someone at home, please, please know, none of this is your fault. You have a right to be safe. And the first and hardest step is telling someone that you trust, a friend, a teacher, a school counselor, another family member. Keeping it secret is what gives people like this power. Don't respond, but do keep the evidence. If it's cyber related like this, keep the evidence. Save screenshots of everything. This is your proof. It is absolutely crucial for getting the help that you need and that you deserve. If you're a parent or if you are the trusted adult, our job is so much bigger than just like setting screen time limits. Sure, that's a start, but we have to build digital literacy, not just for our kids, but for ourselves. Because unfortunately, that is the world that we live in. This is the world that we live in. And we can try to keep them sheltered from it, but it's just not reality anymore. I was just having this conversation with my mom the other day. I think the most important thing we can do is have open, ongoing conversations with our children about online life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. They have to know what can happen. We can't keep them from it all the time. We can try our best, but it's important for them to know. I mean, and it's important to do this without making our kids feel like they'll be punished or have their devices taken away if they tell us something scary. The fear of punishment or I feel like is a reason why a lot of kids stay so silent. We have to be their safe space to land. That's the bottom line. And it's not just about like one case. It's about creating a world where this kind of abuse cannot continue to hide behind a screen. It's about making sure that our kids don't ever have to feel as alone as Lauren did. If you watch this documentary, she felt so alone. I'm going to put a screen up. If if you or if anybody you know is in crisis or needs support, help is always available. Suicide hotline, okay, for immediate risk or thoughts of this type. Child abuse hotline, cyberbullying, LGBTQ youth, the Trevor Project, and then just teen and young adult mental health. There's the JED Foundation. Take these numbers down, reach out to someone if you need the help. There is help for you. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. I needed to get that off of my chest. I know it's not my usual content. I don't really know what my usual content is. I just like talking about things that I feel like I need to talk about. We'll get into some good upcoming cases here pretty soon. But other than that, this was therapeutic because prior to this, I thought I might break my LED screen that's mounted on the wall right in front of me because I was ready to knock someone out. I was mad. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday night or fantastic whatever day you're watching this on. It's important. Take care of yourself. Please, please stay safe. Keep asking questions and keep unraveling. Love you.